News on.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to Friday's edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Options House. And we're sure to have a smooth show this morning because Joe is gone, and we have Brent sitting in this morning for him. Brent, how you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah, and everyone is just sitting and waiting for the
Oh
unenjoyment
yeah,
number,
pretty
which
pretty quiet right now.
yeah, all quiet on the Western Front here. You got to figure if it's good, it's good. They'll rally the market. If it's bad, then they'll just have more quantitative easing, right? I mean, so it's good. So just get long, right, Dennis?
I hope we're having a smooth show here, Joel, because I don't see it. How are you guys coming on your end? Maybe it's my end, but I do not see the show.
You do not see the show
Let's go to
here.
Shubs.
Shubs, do you see the show?
Shubs, do you see the show?
Maybe it's
Shubs,
going to get started here. It's just starting up on mine. Maybe I'm
I'm
just that far
I'm
delayed.
I'm getting
Maybe in
thumbs.
Canada, maybe the signal doesn't come
I'm getting
across
thumbs
fast
up.
enough in Canada.
I'm
We're,
getting the thumbs up.
we're
We're
getting
getting the thumbs
We're
up for
getting
a
the go
go.
ahead.
Okay, it
We
is
are
my
a
end. Look at
go.
this. Here we were this morning talking right before the show. And when Joel had on mute there yesterday, I was like messaging. I was like, I don't hear the show. I don't hear the show. And I was like, okay, well, next time I don't hear the show, I'll just say it. I don't see the show, and it is on my end here this morning. Isn't
see.
that the way things work, guys?
Yep,
Isn't that the
that's
way
right.
things work?
You should just pack it. You should just pack it up, Dennis, and not
I should
let
just pack it up. This is the first time it's been on my end. It's always
Ah.
on your end.
Oh, it still comes back to me. But anyways, let's get a quick recap of the S&Ps here for our traders that are trading the S&Ps. We made a new all-time high yesterday at 1881. 18 and a quarter, the high in today's session. So I guess it's a potential double top, but I think I've said that maybe 48 times here in the last few months. So I'll just say that that's resistance, 1881. Coming back on the downside, the pre-market low, 75 and a half. You have the all-time high close at 76 and a quarter. So a couple parameters there to trade within, above 1881, off to the races. Below that pre-market low, 1875.50. I guess I'd go minor support at 1871, which was a low from Thursday's trading. Dennis, you got any numbers on the spoos for us today, or are you going to
It's
stick with those?
It's all going to depend on the non-farms payrolls numbers. It's 27 minutes before. There's always a head fake. It seems like it'll always break one way, then break the other way, then eventually go in either direction. So you got to watch those head fakes. Sometimes they're pretty good to trade too, if you can be real quick. But the high freak guys are usually pretty quick off of it. I'll just say I think the stats are 14 out of the last 16 Fridays that we've had this non-farm payrolls. The market has been up. So if you're going with the statistical arbitrage type the stat arb plays, it's I guess 14 out of 16 it's been higher, but that who knows, maybe it's going to buck the trend here too. So we'll wait till we see what the numbers are in 27 minutes.
I'm looking at the consensus estimates right now. We are sitting at 149,000 for the non-farm figure, and then 145,000 for the private sector. And I looked at these figures earlier in the week, and they were both sitting at 150. So it looks like they have come down just a little bit over the course of this week.
You know what I did notice yesterday, Joel, is that gold was actually up when the market was up. So, like, just what we've been saying is that there was a divergence there for a few days. It looks like they're now going in the same general direction here again. I doubt that'll happen with the non-farm payrolls with the data coming out. But it is key to mention here that gold was up yesterday when the market had a pretty decent day.
Yeah, I think this whole Ukraine thing, Venezuela thing, I think that's just kind of keeping the money flowing to gold here. And we got a nice technical formation in gold here, including today's session. Four of the last five highs are in a pretty tight range. 1352.50 up to 1355. 1355 being the high of the move. That's what you need to look out for in breakout. And coming on the downside, your support is so well defined. Even you can find it, Dennis, at 1331. You had four lows, the last four lows between 1330.70 and 1332.70. Split that in the middle, you get 1331.70. Major support there for gold. So we'll see if the number can push it one way or another.
And we had a nice bounce in crude there off of that big $100 level. Couldn't quite get there yesterday. Got down to about 100 and a quarter, so about 25 cents off the big psychological level. But then in the last 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, we rallied almost $2. Closed up at 101.80, or closed up at 102, I think, or 101.60, and we're up at 101.85 right now. But it had got up to 102.
Right, it did. It found support. It under the $100 level, snuck down to 113 yesterday, kind of late in the session, but came back. We are rallying now here. Held the close right off the open. Well, open 101.97, 101.56 close. Came down one tick from the close, then rallied up. I just have folks keep an eye on this 102.08. That was yesterday's high, and 102.20. So potential resistance there. Above that, it opens up into the 103s. And violin maker, I mean, with the technical you're talking about for a double top, it really has to come down in some meaningful way. And it really hasn't come down, but I'm just a little early. I'd always try and find double tops anywhere, but
He's asking a different question too, though. He's like just saying on the overall technical formation. We always talk about double tops, saying a stock putting in two tops. He's saying, well, the way that he learned is that when you call it a double top or a double bottom, it's got to be that it bounces off the level, then comes back to retest a few days later. That's a different technical formation. It's a double bottom, double top too. But we're always just highlighting the fact that the reason on this show when we talk about double tops, triple tops, or sometimes you see these 4 or 5 times where a stock will get to a same level, sometimes it's just a big institution that's sitting there with a big order. They got an iceberg order. They've got a pricing point where they want to knock the stock off, and the stock just can't get through there. So we talk about double tops in different ways than other people do, but we talk about them in that way as well. So whenever you see, even if it's 2 consecutive days of the same pricing point, it becomes relevant because all of a sudden that level, there may be some order flow reasons, there might be some other reasons for that. But I think what you're talking about is like on a chart like SFUN. If you bring that one up there, Joel, I'm just coincidentally looking at it right now.
This is good.
SFUN, if you look at that, it came back down 71, 77, 72 area on February 6th. It did the whole rally up thing off 80, came back to retest it down in the whole 70, 92, kind of the same area, $71. That held, and that's like your W pattern that you're talking about. And that's also a double bottom there too. So we would say that's a double bottom area as well. That's more of a technical formation, maybe for technical reasons. We're a lot of times talking about order flow reasons on the show too. So, but either way, when you've got 2 highs or 2 lows in the same area, it has relevance even if they are on consecutive days.
Yeah, and I mean with that SUFN, I'd almost call it like a triple bottom, to make it the way it
The original double bottom would
Yeah.
say, how we say it.
Yeah.
And then there's that, the W pattern that you might read in some technical books or whatever. And that's like a pure W pattern right there too. So
Hey, but
good example of both there.
yeah, a violin maker, anybody else in the chat room, if you have any, questions or clarifications in our technical analysis, hey, just throw it in there because we'd like to, we can learn from you as well.
Yeah, well, and everybody's got their own style. Like Joel, you started way back in '87 on the floor, so you have a lot of years and a lot of different styles. And I started in 1999 as a prop trader. So we've all got our different styles that we've developed for ourselves over the years. And that's everything. We're just trying to give you information on the show, not really trying to tell you what to buy and sell. More just so you can develop your own style as well, and incorporate some of maybe the stuff that we talk about, incorporate some of the other stuff you might read in some books or get on some other blogs. Develop your own system that works for you, and then the key is to always be adjusting that system because what works today often doesn't work tomorrow. So the adjustments is what keeps you in the game.
When I first started doing technical analysis, we used to go down to the Merc and go down to the to the candy shop or whatever, and they would have these books, with all the different I forget what it was called, but it was like a chart book. And you actually had to buy the chart book, and then you had to get the ruler out, and you go.
That was before computers, eh, Joel?
Yep, you go home at the end of the day, and you put your little bar in there, and mark the volume and stuff, and draw your trend lines on there, and
Did you say the candy store?
I don't want to. Well, I don't know if it was really a gift shop. What do you call that? Like in the bottom of a big,
like a souvenir kind of place, or
not
something
souvenir,
like that. No?
but like in a big, big gift shop. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Candy store. Yeah, I'm sure Joe would have a snide remark about that. But anyways, Dennis, are we going to cover some stocks here, or are we just going to talk about the old days?
All right, let's go and cover a few stocks here. The Gap reported GPS. They reported same
Ooh.
store sales there last night, and they were a disaster. Down 7% against analyst estimates that were supposed to be up 1.1%. What were they citing there, Brent? Were they citing the weather? I think everybody, every retailer that's coming out here and with disappointing numbers seems to be citing the weather. Did the Gap say why the same store
I
sales were so
believe
bad?
I believe they did. Let me scroll back here
That was
just
a
a sec.
complete guess on my part, so I'm not
Gap
sure if
says,
that was
"Oh,
the reason or not,
oh, you
but
know what? I was reading a stat where it was something like they said, just off the top of my head, I think they said 500 stores experienced closures during the month of February alone.
yeah.
I think it was around 500 stores. So I mean, it's kind of I like to poke fun at the companies citing the weather, and just on CNBC a minute ago, Alan Greenspan was citing the weather. But I mean, when you put it 500 stores closed during February, that's definitely a large chunk of their stores. So I mean, I think that the weather
Yeah, I mean,
citing the weather kind of does make sense actually.
When we've had this kind, I mean, we cite the weather for our technical difficulties there on the show, on this show. So, I mean, I guess it's when you're a retailer and people actually don't want to go out in the cold, and they don't want to go to your stores. It's probably a very significant reason.
right. Pre-market, we took a quick dash under the $40 level, 39.69, but just not a lot of volume with this, Dennis. Do you have a gap to fill on the daily? Let's take a look at that because I think the pre-market low. I just don't think you're going to see that. What I don't like about this chart here is you've bunched up at the $42 level. And now you've broken that level. So I think that's going to act as resistance here.
Yeah.
You do have the gap to fill here. You have a gap in the gap to fill. How does that sound? But the gap that needs to be filled, you had a low at 41.31, I believe. And then the gap down area is to 40.11. That's another 75 cents there. I think a lot of people be using this opportunity to cover short in that gap area. And just, based on the volume here, it just doesn't look like it's just going to be one of those whoopings.
It's a nice classic technical formation. The gap up from classic resistance, kind of gap and go, comes back and retesting there yesterday. And obviously now the news on the disappointments looks like it's going to take it through there. So if you do subscribe to the old resistance becomes new support, if for whatever reason, we're always trying to set up scenario analysis for you, if for whatever reason it does get to 40, that might be an area where you're saying, Joel, they might bring in a short or possibly you get some bottom pickers trying to initiate longs out of the original breakout area there. So $40 is a big number for this stock. Speaking of big lots, man, I just hate this stock, but it's flying here this morning. The numbers don't look good to me, Brent. 139 versus 142, 1.64 billion versus 1.62 billion. So they missed on the bottom line. They a little bit on the top line. The guidance 2014, 225 to 245 against analysts' estimates of 295. But this is a wacky stock, and it does stuff like this. So report good numbers and go down, report bad guidance and go up. And the stock is just flying here. So I'm not surprised, actually, that it is continuing up because this is just one of those wacky stocks. But, man, this is a big move. It's up $4 in the pre-market here, Joel.
And it's trading right near its highs here, the pre-market action. Whatever, you can't argue with it. This is where it's trading. Made a high at 33.70, broke out of the $30 area. Really getting into no man's land here on the daily chart. Trying to fill another gap here that you had in the issue between, you had a high at 34 and a quarter, gaps up to the $36 level. I don't know, just seems like a little bit much for me on that report. I think people will be targeting this 33.89, 33.50 to 33.89 area. And just to point out, I know we're going to go and we're going to talk about the Safeway takeover. I was going to talk about the Kroger. But, a stock like Kroger yesterday that was trading in the pre-market, I mean, those are levels that you just didn't see for like the entire session. So, we'll see if that's the case. I think it got up to 46, right, Dennis? That's where you were thinking of shorting it?
I had my order sitting out there. I was just for fun. I was throwing out 200 shares, and then that guy was stepping up with 10,000 on the bid. And it was so early after the report. I was like, I better cancel that. It literally traded at my price a few times, 46, and that was it. And then it died. So obviously, I should have left the order out there. We had the top picked on that one, Joe, 46. I didn't leave it there though. In the regular session, only got up to 45 and a quarter. Actually opened near the high and just started cascading down here. So Kroger, obviously, out there, good earnings report, sold off. The one thing I will say is that Kroger had run up into the report. It was already up like, I don't know, like 10, 12 out of the 13 previous days. So everybody's banking it was going to have a good report, which it did. So it was kind of like buy on rumors, sell on news type of deal ahead of the earnings report there. I guess it's not a rumor, but ahead of the number. So when you look here at the big lots, it's a little different story. It's been kind of relatively, the last few weeks, I guess it's been running up a bit. But if you look back in December, it's $38 stock. They sell it off. So it's a little bit counter trend here at 33 and a quarter. So I don't think this is going to be one that gives it all back. But I do think at 33 and a half, it's starting to get a little lofty for me to be chasing it.
Well, you did though. I mean, this did have a end of January, early February. You were trading at 26, so
Yeah.
it did had a $4 bump in. So it's kind of the same scenario, but just keep an eye. A lot of people that have been buying this stock since December here are now breaking even, and a lot of times the instinct for traders and investors is when they're underwater, they get back to even. They like to get out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that pre-market high.
Foot Locker, it is breaking out here today. 82 cents versus 76 cents, 1.79 billion versus 1.76 billion. If you take a look at the chart of FL, you had a triple top going into the earnings there in the whole $43 area. That is gone here this morning. We've traded 31,000 shares and we're trading up near $45.
Made a high in the pre-market just a few brackets ago at 45.70. We've pulled back to the $45 area, getting a little tired there. The daily tells the story here. Someone was trying to get out here at just under the $43 level. Three highs, 42.85 to 42.99. Probably a big seller sitting at the point. High freaks leaning on it while he knew that trader. Did you notice any size there at 43 over the last few days or not,
No,
Dennis?
I haven't been looking at it. So, and I don't see anything this morning either because that size could still be in the New York book. I don't really see much there. I do see a little bit up at 45, just starting to form some size up there. Only 6,600 shares, but it's the only thing I see significantly in the book. So we can keep an eye on that and look back at the book here as it gets closer to the open. But I don't see much there.
Yeah, new all-time high for Foot Locker.
Also, GoGo
Go go.
last night, SAC Capital, or it's disclosed SAC Capital, raised their stake to 5.41%. And GoGo here is moving last night and moving up a bit this morning. Was trading higher last night, was up around 25 and a half. Only trading 24.95 right now.
We did get over the $25 level. Made a formation at 25.78 and 25.80. Someone decided to take a piece off there. That's been the resistance. So we'll keep an eye on that. I remember when this thing was running up back over $30 here, and just got a little bit too far, too fast. Came back, found a nice base, and now it's rallying off that base. Taking a look at some of the resistance here above that pre-market high of 25.80. Series of highs, and well, you actually have some at 25.80, 25.95. That was the end of last year. Let's call that $26 level resistance.
Safeway, Brent, we have the merger there finally in Safeway. This has been rumored forever and forever. The stock has been running all February from $30 up to 40, just on different rumors of Safeway going to get taken over. Cerebus is coming in, going to merge it with their Albertsons chain. Overall price is about $40, but the way it's made up is kind of confusing a bit. Brent, you have those details?
Yeah, sure. So the total value is over $9 billion. It is around $40 per share. That's made up of $32.50 per share in cash, and then Safeway holders will also, or excuse me, 32.50 per share in cash plus stock in Safeway's gift card unit, which is called Black Hawk Network.
And how much is that stock worth, did you say?
I don't think I remember seeing any
I
kind of
thought I
value in
saw like
there.
350 or something. And then there was another 325 that they might get from selling of assets or something
That's
like that too.
yeah, that's like the contingent consideration there in that deal. And I was just looking at the stock, and since February 1st, Safeway shares have closed lower only 4 times, one of those being yesterday.
They've
So
been
you
buying this thing up ahead of this
you kind
merger.
of highlighting the rumor of this deal, it definitely is showing in the stock price.
And it closed at 39.47. So the takeout price, even if you include all of this other stuff here, which is somewhat confusing, was only 50 cents above where it closed. So they kind of overbought this one on the rumor here, and it's trading down $1 here right now. You might be asking, well, if the takeout price is 40, why is it trading at 38.54? Well, it's only 32.50 in cash. They're getting shares of this Hawk thing, which is supposed to be worth about 350. And then if they sell some assets, they can get like another $3, something which brings them up to 40. But there's some question marks on that other $7.50. So that's why they're selling the stock up a little bit here in the pre-market. Actually, last night on this initial report, stock sold all the way off to 37. So that was getting a little bit overdone. They have bounced it back. It's traded massive volume here now, 1.9 million shares this morning, and it's holding around 38 and a half.
Sounds like it's going to be kind of hard to do an ARB on this one, huh? With all those.
Yeah, and especially when you get the cash takeout deals and stuff. I like, when you get the merger arbs in there, it's usually stock for stock deal. This is all just kind of confusing, and it's a cash deal. So I think this is going to be one that probably, trades around where it's at, maybe slowly drifts higher as a little bit of the confusion comes out of it. But I don't see this thing just popping up to 40 today, and just because there is a little bit of confusion with exactly what shareholders are gonna get.
So you got Safeway and you got Kroger and what else is there? There's that.
You
This
thinking of maybe the Fresh Market or what's that New York-based one that I'm thinking of?
um,
Recently IPO'd.
the the Fresh Market. What was the one that was a lower price stock that people were kicking around for
Let's
a
see.
while?
Go to my
And
trusty
I think
sector
it begins
coverage.
with an S2. No, well, I'll have to take a look at it. But
The fresh market, there was news on that though, Brent, overnight, wasn't there?
where at?
TFM. It's up a buck
Yeah,
here,
I
and I do
remember
remember
that.
seeing it fly by. I didn't write it down.
I mean, this is just for sector trading.
Got guidance last
Yeah,
night on the
yeah.
fresh market. Oh, actually, earnings. They had earnings too, or did they? Yeah, the fresh market
Yeah.
TFM. Actually, just because you brought it up, TFM did report earnings there last night. 39 cents versus 44 cents, which was a miss. 425.8 million versus 433.3 million, which was a miss on the top line too. But the guidance, man, the guidance doesn't really look that great either. I guess full year, $1.56 to $1.66 versus analyst estimates of a buck 43. So I guess that's why they're popping, because full year guidance is higher. That TFM, which is the chart or the stock symbol on it, it's trading up a buck here right now. What do you think of the technicals on this one, Joel?
It did get a spike here in the pre-market when actually that was after hours and got a huge spike over $37. Actually got as high as 37.40. Came back just kind of hanging out the 35 and a half area. I just get a better perspective on this one from the daily charts here, and this $36 level that just looks huge to me. Hot couple highs earlier in the week, and then if you go back to mid-January, we are trading below that, so I use that as resistance point. Above 36, I think you could get a nice breakout. Cold slug is popping in here, Dennis. As far as we got an option expiration today, and he's just looking at some of the selling balances that are coming out. Do you think
Just
it's?
on the weeklies, though.
Oh, it's just on the right. It's
Yeah,
not a
it's
big app. So do you put any credence into these selling balances this early, even with the market up a point?
Well, there's no imbalance data yet, so I'm not sure. The imbalance data doesn't come out till 8:30, so we're still 6 minutes away from imbalance
Oh,
data. So
okay.
I think he's talking from last night. He's
Okay,
saying he was
okay,
saying he was looking at the imbalance data from last night, and
okay.
I'll tell you again. Yeah, Colts. Basically, that imbalance data, the opening imbalance, the pre-market imbalances are a lot better indicator than the closing imbalances. The closing imbalances have been manipulated. They're played with those games. They flip. They get offset. So much funny stuff happens. The only day the closing imbalances really seem to work well is exactly right on the third Friday of the month. which will be the 21st of March. On those days, it seems to have a little bit more relevance. But even on those days, you can't just take it and say, oh, it's got a buy imbalance, it means it's going to rally into the close, because funny things happen. Like we say, that market is disseminated to the overall market at 3:45. But on the floor, those imbalances come out as early as 2 o'clock. So basically, on the floor, and obviously off the floor, you got the high freaks, you got everybody else that's getting that information. You can actually subscribe to it earlier, even as a retail trader. I think it's like $500 a month to get those numbers ahead of time. But basically, that number, when it comes out at 3:45, is pretty old information, and everybody's kind of already trade off what the real imbalances are when they kind of start coming out on the floor at 2. So that's the tricky thing, and that's why I think the imbalance information, the closing imbalance information, isn't as relevant as some of the pre-market imbalance information is, which those numbers aren't manipulated quite as much. They're all manipulated, they're all played with, they're all fun stuff happens, but it's just tools, it's information. You can't just say it's got a buy imbalance, it's going to go up, because that's the way it used to work in the old days. It just doesn't work that way anymore.
Okay. All right. What else do you want to cover? We got 5 minutes ahead of the number here.
Well, we got a few upgrades and downgrades, but first I'm going to go FEYE, Fire Eye, which has been on fire. It's pulling back here, pulled back, kind of closed weak yesterday. Announced a secondary there after the close. They priced it this morning. $82 is where the secondary is. It's trading about $1 above there right now. Like we said, these secondaries often do act like a floor in the stock. That doesn't always the case. Obviously, we always live in the probabilities as traders, but it's pulling back to 83 here now. I'm wondering if it can bounce here pretty soon as it approaches that 82 level.
Okay. It took a dive here when they announced that, trading down 655. Just kind of sitting on the lows here at 83. So this one looks more likely to go down to that level and have some credence, perhaps trade around there. I mean, it had a huge run up here from the beginning of the year. The stock has almost doubled here. So some investors, if the company's selling some stock to raise some money, they don't think it's a bad idea either. But we'll just be keeping an eye on that $82 level.
A couple upgrades and downgrades I just want to highlight here quickly before we do go in the number. Prudential is getting upgraded here. PRU is getting upgraded at Bank America today. 86.77 is where it went out. It's bid 87.16 right now. Big number here from an order flow perspective, $88. There's 71,000 shares up there on Prudential at $88, and that's significant for this stock.
Yeah, that is. And who was the upgrade by?
It's Bank America, so it's a big one.
Okay, Bank America.
That's one of your heavy sticks for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it. It's kind of funky on the daily here because you just have these three spike highs, 87.33. Hit that on the 24th, came off hard. Got back up to 87.03, came off hard. And then yesterday's session, you hit the 87.33, but you did manage to hold on here. So this would not be an issue that if they did take out that 88 seller and it did come back through that number, just based on this pattern here, it seems to be like it has a hard time holding this level. But we'll keep an eye. Pre-market high, a little bit higher than this. Odd lots are trading, but pre-market high is right in there, 87.32.
Let's look at its brother-in-law, MetLife. Very similar pattern, actually. It's been popping up here. These two stocks do get pair traded with together by a lot of the pros, so it's not surprising that the charts look the same. MetLife is quiet here this morning. Obviously, this is an upgrade to Prudential, so it's going to be up a lot more relatively than MetLife here. Sometimes you will see a little sympathy move, though, so depending on what the non-farm payrolls does, because that will really push the price of MetLife around too. Just remember, with Prudential upgraded, Met will be affected by that.
MET, get Met. It pays once a month. That $53 here has been the high. $52.98 was the high. Boom, January 22nd, $52.77 in yesterday's session. Boy, it's going to take a little bit of mo to get this through 53 today.
Also upgraded in a little one, if you like trading those little stocks, Sirius XM Holdings upgraded by Macquarie here today. It's trading up just a couple and 2.5 cents here. But this SIR chart, I can't speak here today. This cold's still bothering me. SIRE, interesting little setup here above 350.
Yeah, bunch of highs here. Look at all these highs. Boom, boom. 361, 363. Boom, boom. One, two, three, four, five, six of the last seven highs there. What am I? Am I looking at a daily or am I looking at a 15-minute? I am
We got that.
looking.
We're popping here, Joel, on the non-farm payrolls. I'm sleeping here, but we just broke here. Brent's going to come in with the number in a second. We just popped up to 1885.50. Holy cow! We were pulling back here just a little bit now. Still up at 1882. Man, we are moving here off this non-farm payrolls. Brent, are you out there, Brent?
Yeah, he's actually switching the headsets here and to get some comments on the good number here.
Here we go, boys. 175,000 on the non-farm number. Economists were looking for 149,000. The private sector number was 162,000. Economists were looking for 145,000. And we had the unemployment rate ticking higher to 6.7%. Economists were looking for 6.6%.
We are popped, and this isn't have had it. It hasn't even had. Can't speak here. It hasn't even had a fake out here today because it popped straight up, pulled back only 2-3 points, and it's holding up here. Usually it spikes up 8 points, goes down 8 points, and tries to find which way it wants to go. We spiked up, and we are just holding up here, and this is trying to go straight higher here, Joel.
Right, and there's just no sellers out here, and Fari was trying to hook me into that 1930 by the end of March, and I mean, there's just nothing in here. I mean, there's just basically, people are. I mean, the shorts are so bruised and battered here. They're having a hard time, selling here into this market, and people are taking profits as well as this thing moves up. But we'll just see how things shake out. 86.75 has been the high so far. That only puts us in like an 11-point range here. So, been average, kind of a quiet day yesterday, but we'll see what happens here. Kind of distancing ourselves from that 86.75 right now. That's the resistance. Minor support comes in at the former all-time high of 1881. So there's your points to trade off 1881 and 1886.75. I just want to note that that looks like that resistance in gold is gonna hold up
They
here.
killed it on this.
Yeah. Why so, Dennis?
No, that it's because off the non-farm payrolls, gold goes one direction, SPOOs go the other direction. It almost always happens. That's why I was saying earlier. I said we had the divergence breaking down yesterday, but I said it probably won't happen today with the non-farm payrolls. Almost always goes in the opposite direction. So initial spike here, gold goes all the way down to 1342, which is down about $10. It's trading 1343 right now in the March gold. So we're down 8 on gold. We're up 8 on the S&P futures.
Okay. Yep, coming back up to the high here, 84.75. Crude just kind of hanging up. That's spiked up as well. 102.31 still holding is the high. If you get above this 102.31 area, crude came down real hard off that 105 level. So there's not a lot of resistance here if you're trying to be short this crude market. So good numbers again. Market rally again. What was that statistic you gave, Dennis? Like 13 out of
14 out of the last 16 non-farm payroll Fridays we've been higher.
right.
So they're trying to make it 15 for 17 today. It's looking good so far, but a lot of day left here yet. We're up 7. We're looking okay.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to get Joe Gits on from Social Market Analytics and see what's hopping on those Twitter wires today. So go grab a cup of coffee. We'll be right back. Welcome back, traders and investors. Everything's working fine here at the Benzinga production studio without Joe here. Just a quick Joe. Not you, Joe, the other Joe.
The
But
GM
Okay.
guy.
we have Joe
Mighty
Gits.
Joe Young.
Yes, exactly. Joe Gits, president and CEO of Social Market Analytics, and he uses the information from out there on Twitter, in the Twitter sphere, to come up with trading ideas. Joe, you're always in a good mood on Fridays. The trend continuing.
Yes, the trend is absolutely continuing. I love Fridays. Favorite day of the week. Yeah, so things are looking positive for the markets this morning, guys. I have to hunt around to find something negative today. But,
Was it positive? Was it positive before the non-farm payrolls came out?
It was positive. It's been positive all morning. So just as an example, I only have 2 statistical negatives this morning on
What are those?
our bottom 10. Of course, Staples.
Oh,
And Sprint Nextel Corp are the
okay.
only 2 that are really below -2 this morning. And then someone asked about AKAM, and that was a -1.36. But the top 10 are all extremely positive today. So and this was well before our Edge Report subscribers got this information at 7:10, and well early today.
Ahead of the S&P future.
7:10, which
Yeah.
would be 8:10. Joe talks Central Standard Time there.
I talk that strange Central Standard Time language.
What are the top 10? Fly down.
All right,
here.
so let's go through top 10. The top 3, I think, are earnings plays this morning. ERII, Energy Recovery Inc.
Yeah.
BYD.
That one's positive. ERII.
ERII has an S score of 4.19.
It's down
and-
40 cents here, so
Yeah,
you're
well-
for a reversal there.
Yeah, you know what? I had a scary one yesterday. Children's Place.
Oh yeah, PLC.
I stepped in front of Children's Place yesterday, and it worked out. It worked out pretty well. But that one, that was a scary one yesterday. Yeah. So what people are saying this morning, ERII, pretty much everyone's saying a lot of technical conversations on ERII. So that might be more in your guys' wheelhouse than mine. But they're saying that it's going to move higher today.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. All right. So let me go back to the dashboard. Twitter. Wrong one. That's my watch list. Boyd Gaming is
BYD.
number BYD. Jamba Juice.
Jamba Juice. I had one of those for the first time there last week when I was in Denver. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Lots
that's good
of different
stuff.
choices. JMBA.
Did you
a
get
little
an
healthy.
energy boost? Did you get the energy boost?
I had one of the veggie ones. I was with my wife. She makes me drink my vegetables all the time, so we had the veggie one. It was actually not bad.
You
There was
drink
some
your
apple.
vegetables? What do you got? No teeth or something, or what?
Oof.
No, it's called when you're on the road and you don't want to go eat a burger for a breakfast sandwich. You want to eat something healthier, so
Okay,
they blend up your vegetables for you. So
Okay.
it's good.
That's right. All right, number 4, Finisar, FNSR, Networking Communications, which I thought was interesting. There's a lot of communications on the list today, and when I look at it, just to sidetrack here for a second, but the top industries and sectors this morning, the number 1 industry was pollution treatment and controls, and wireless communication was actually a negative S score today. And we got a lot of communication on the top list, which I thought was very interesting. So there's a dichotomy there.
What else you
And
got, Joe?
all right, everyone's like, what is he talking about? International Gaming Technology, IGT. That's a 3.69. WOOF, VCA, Veterinary Centers of America. WOOF.
That's an awesome ticker symbol.
Woo.
Yeah, it is.
That should just go higher just because of the ticker symbol. That's creative right there. Look at that chart, Joel. That thing's been breaking out.
A DJ from the chat room is he's trailing your pre-market report, and once again, you're giving this information. What's the best way to use this, and also, how, like you mentioned that Children's Place. How do you use the info and trade with it?
So yesterday on Children's Place, I saw the sentiment score on Children's Place, and it was ridiculously high. I saw the dispersion. The dispersion was very high, meaning that there was a broad base of discussion. And so dispersion measures the breadth. So it's a weak signal if you have one person sending out all the tweets. It's a stronger signal if you have a lot of people sending out the individual tweets. And so I saw that the dispersion on that was really high and the volume on that was really high, and it looked like it was going to open much lower. And those three things together said, okay, this is a buy.
Okay, so the information but as far as setups go, I mean, are you a technical guy at all? I mean, when you looking at this this Jamba Juice here, I mean, this thing's sticking out to me here. This $13 level.
JMBA,
Yeah, JMBA. I mean, this $13 level's been holding for a while. Do you get the information and then go to the charts, or do you just try?
I will definitely look at the charts, but you guys are far and away better technical people than I am. And I would not say I'm a technician at all. I see some cones in there. I see more cones than other patterns, I would say. But I would not call myself a real technical guy. I'll look and eyeball if there are any support and resistance there, and if there is, I'll wait and see what direction it's going to break. But I would say that your viewers are probably better technicians than I am. I'm looking for the broad opinion and combine the broad opinion with the sentiment, and that's where I usually go from there. And then I'll watch it pretty closely too, because if it's opening up down and it goes lower, I'll get out.
Okay,
this is another nice tool to add to your trading toolbox, is what Joe's offering you here. Something to put with your technical something. It's all just tools. It's what everybody's trying to do. Yeah, and it's a nice tool. It's something different that not a lot of other people have, not a lot of other people are doing. That's why it's a cool tool to have.
Yeah, and so for me, it brings trades that I'm going to look at Twitter, I'm going to look at Facebook, I'm going to look at GM every day. This brings me securities that I wouldn't normally think of that I know are going to move, so it's a good chance to take a couple points out of a security that I wouldn't trade. And like Wolf, who woke up today saying they're going to trade Wolf? You know, and that's in our hedge fund clients. That's the kind of stuff that they like because it finds opportunities that they're not watching. You don't need social media to tell you about Twitter, right, or Apple,
right?
Because you're going to watch that every day. Apple and Twitter are absolute zeros today, so there's no sentiment at all on that.
How about this FireEye? They come out with the secondary at 82. The stock's had a major run. They've been whooping this thing in the pre-market.
What's the symbol?
FEYE, FireEye. And they're doing a secondary here at 82. They sold it off here. Haven't quite got.
I don't have any volume on that one. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Violin Maker is asking, does the higher composite number have more confident, or is it or is it a cutoff number that it is, that is in the good category?
That's a great question. The higher the number, the more positive the conversation is. On the long side, we found that the statistical significance is 2 standard deviations. So when that S-score is greater than 2, that's really positive. You'll usually get 1 or 2 that are greater than 4, and that's extremely positive. So, for example, the top 3, they happen to be earnings plays today, are all greater than 4. Now, on the negative side, it's usually 3. So for you active traders out there, if you get a 2, if you get right around the 2 on the negative side, you can look for a bounce there. And we've got some statistics on this. So -2, it'll open down significantly and look for a bounce. If it's -3, it's going to 0.
Okay, all right. That's sound like you went to my school of trading. Let's go to a few here from our chat room. SFUN. This stock has just been on a major run here for Violin Maker. You got any? You getting any singles?
I got nothing on SFUN.
Okay.
No statistical volume. So what we're doing is we're looking for the filtered data, so the intentions of professional investors. And so when I say I've got no data, I've got no certified tweets from certified accounts on that.
Okay.
So there are probably tweets out there, but they haven't been certified by us.
I got one for you. Big Lots, BIG. You got anything on that? It's cooked up a pretty good earnings report here this morning. It's popping $5 here now, which is a lot.
Whoa.
This is one that I think is a little bit overdone. What are your numbers showing there?
We're getting a lot of volatility, and it's right now it's a 1.7 positive. So it's not statistically significant, but but the volume is increasing dramatically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do these numbers change? Like, do you see a flip sometimes? Yeah, they flop around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one that I thought that's interesting that's changing higher. Kroger is popping in and out of the top 10. So Kroger's moving around a lot. KR. I think that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on today.
How about YY? I think we're getting into some obscure ones here. Yeah, it's
I don't know if there's going to be anything
yeah.
on
You
that
got
one.
anything on that?
ADR.
Yeah.
No, and then
How about BlackBerry?
oh yeah, boy, that one's
$10, the big level on that thing. It held yesterday.
Yeah, that.
nope, not getting not a lot of talk today on that one.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
Go to the
surprised by
big
that one.
guns. Go to the big guns that everybody likes to trade every day. Like, what's Apple saying, first of all?
Apple, yeah, Apple's up there every day. All right, so let me
They
see what's
positive
going
or
on.
negative on Apple today?
All right, Apple's neutral.
Neutral.
Point zero nine one, negative .091. Volume's consistent.
Tesla?
And
How about Tesla?
TSLA, yeah.
I was looking at this one yesterday, and you've had the run up, you've had the consolidation, couple days of tight ranges. We're considerably away from that 250 level, 249.45 low yesterday.
Negative .6. Tesla's a good social media stock.
Oh, really? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit negative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slightly negative. Under 250, this thing could really fall, but having a little bit of consolidation. How about GoGo? GOGO. Got an upgrade today, right?
SAC Cap, not an upgrade. SAC
Oh,
Capital announcing position last night.
Slightly positive. Slightly positive for GOGO.
Priceline. What about the $1,000 stocks? Let's go to Priceline. That thing looks like it's gearing and getting ready to break out here. And in the pre-market, it actually is breaking out, I believe, to new all-time highs. Are kissing up against them. 1375, the high on February 26th. Trading 1374 right here, right now. Gearing up to break out. What's the
Priceline, negative .552. Not statistically significant, but it's, yeah, and you're just standard. A lot of robo tweets coming in on Priceline today, and those are typically quite as strong.
Robo tweets? Talk about that. What is that?
Yeah,
A robo tweet is an automatically generated tweet, and they typically say top positive movers, top negative movers, support, resistance. So they're tweets that are generated by computers as opposed to by people. For example, we send out robo tweets. So 5 times a day we send out top and bottom sentiment security through SMA info account, and those are typically don't have the insight that a lot of other signals have.
What's your Twitter account? Give it to us because some of your listeners
SMA
probably want to follow
info.
you.
Yeah, SMA info.
SMA info.
Yeah, and we tweet out top and bottom securities multiple times a day. Interesting commentary. We also have we also tweet occasionally some penny stock stuff. So it's an interesting account. But you got to keep in mind that it's an account for people that want to get that kind of stuff, because we don't do a lot of commentary. It's mostly auto stuff.
Well, I got you one follower there, Joe, because I just followed you.
Hey,
All right.
Hey, Joe, how long have you been putting out this data for?
We have data going back to 2011. We've really been selling it since April of last year, and most of our accounts are hedge funds, and they take it programmatically and put it into their algos. So they've been getting it for close to 2 years, the hedge funds. And we've got statistical significance on this data. So you'll see that our top S scores, our 2 or higher, outperform the S&P by about 50% over the last 2 years.
Okay, because DJ's asking about how consistent the data is, and I mean, it's so there is some statistical significance. To
Oh yeah,
it.
So our Sharpe ratio on the S score greater than 2 is 2.2 is a single factor model. So that's very statistically significant, and even so, that's S score greater than 2, S score from 1 to 2, and these are all open to close. So they statistically move higher open to close. On the negative side, they've underperformed the S&P by about 10%, somewhere around there. So it is statistically significant. And that when we give our data, our historical data, to our hedge fund clients, that's the first thing they run. They run the regressions. They run the statistical analysis. The beta on the long side is a 1.03. So your statistical alpha there. So your alpha, in addition to excess return, is 12%. So our clients are making a significant amount of money with this data.
Right, but they're using it with other things. Okay, one more.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's what I call prescription medication.
Okay, ARTX. That is Aerotech. This thing's gone from 250 to 468 yesterday. I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing a pretty good job on that. You getting any?
Yeah, the people are talking. That one's mostly people talking about what happened yesterday.
Okay.
Slightly positive, 1.8.
I would just going back if you're looking at this thing, if you're trading this today, J Dot, you had a high back in December 2007 at 487. 20 cents away from there. Also a nice round number like $5. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then Joe, just one last question for you
Yeah.
today. Do you find that it's better? I mean, we haven't had many down days, but just seems like everyone's so positive and the
Yeah.
markets are good. Do you think there's more statistical significance in your data on up days than is down days?
That's a great question. On the up days, our ups perform better. I'm not splitting the atom there, just because you're picking good stocks. When on the down days, the shorts perform significantly better. But overall, because the market's been up trading, it's better. It's better on the long side. It's better on the long. Like I said earlier, on the short side, you get bounces if it's not 3 or lower, and 3 or lower is a pretty rare event. So I would say yes, it performs better on the long side. Yesterday, for some reason, was a really good short day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we had some really good picks on the short side yesterday.
Okay. Is people
Last
still?
Friday was some of the picks were really good on the short side.
Can you break it down? Because I was just saying yesterday, we were saying on the show how Berkshire Hathaway, BRK.B, started breaking out here yesterday. First of all, what does it look like on BRK.B here today if you have anything?
Yep.
Second thing is that I've been talking about is when you see Berkshire Hathaway breaking out to new all-time highs, that's telling me that some of the value stocks might start coming to play here. Do you see anything like that might be looking like some of the momos might be slowing down and might be moving into value now?
Well, Berkshire Hathaway has a 2.155 right now, so that's a positive number. And they're talking about what they're seeing. The actual conversation is talking about his top 5 stocks. You guys want to hear them?
Yep.
BAC, WFC, USB, Berkshire Hathaway, Coke, American Express, and IBM. Those are his big stocks.
Yeah, those financials made a nice move, so we can see
Yeah.
what. Okay, and then just one last question: what's the usual time frame of the up move in a positive stocks
Yeah.
correlated to the SD number?
The data has statistical significance going out up to 5 days. The short side is typically 3 days. I'd be looking at a flash report every day though, and use your other factors to determine whether or not you hold it overnight. Because all of our analysis is done open to close, and then we reset first thing in the morning. So what our clients are doing is they're using their judgment at the end of the day whether or not they want to get out, and then looking at the list every morning. It's a fresh list every morning.
Okay, great. Okay, Joe, thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I'll hang out in the chat room if people want to talk.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, I'll try. I keep taking drugs. 2 week cold here. This cold is driving me crazy. And sorry about the nasally stuff here today. Let's just go to the imbalances here quick, too. So we've given you the social indicators here. We've talked a little bit of technicals. Market's up 9 points here. I'm seeing a mix from the pre-market imbalances here today. General Electric's had a negative imbalance all morning here, although it's trading up for 24 cents here right now. But I am seeing a few negative imbalances. And yesterday we talked about Verizon having a positive imbalance while I was trading down pre-market, and it actually worked out well for me. I was able to short that opening print on that buy imbalance, and I was up about 15 cents in 15 seconds. So that one worked out well, and it really held yesterday too. Verizon here does have a sell imbalance. It's been trading down all morning. I'm not sure if there's news here on Verizon or not. I didn't look at that one. But Disney, big buy imbalance, 78,000 shares, so that could continue to trade higher. Obviously up 40 cents with fair value in the pre-market here. Citigroup, 87,000 to buy. Coca-Cola, 71,000 to sell. Not sure if that's going to flip around or not because it's trading up here pre-market. Joel, any technicals on any of these?
Just looking at this Citigroup here, recovered from the earnings. Boy, look at all those down days you had. Down, 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 down. Now you're back up to the $50 level. I think that's an interesting level. If it can hold 50, chance to fill the gap from earnings. Trading higher in the pre-market here. Traded up to 50.32 in the pre-market. Those highs are really sticking at out at 50.17 on the 24th. Another high at 50.15 on February 12th, and then you had a high yesterday, 50.19. So hey, if this thing opens up, holds a $50 level here, not a lot really going up to 52. So that's an interesting formation.
The
And
financials overall, Joel, really were our leaders here yesterday. You saw Wells Fargo, I believe, make a new
yep,
all-time high. You saw Goldman Sachs take off another couple of dollars. JP Morgan and Citigroup were both, like you said, with Citi, they were both fairly strong. Bank of America pulled back towards the end of the day, but it was strong. But they were really leading us, and I'm noticing here this morning, they are leading us here again this morning too. Those are the stocks that are up the most here right now from a sector perspective. They're really strong here this morning.
okay, we're gonna before I let you go here, Dennis. S&Ps are trading up 9 points, 87.50 high, 75.50 low. Are you just gonna try and find some stuff that's opening up below fair value here and maybe take a ride up, or I mean, because it's really not enough of these blow off opens here. To really lay out the shorts here. It's not like we're up 15 or 20 points. Any kind of early strategies here? Are you still evaluating?
I've got a few ideas here this morning. Obviously, I'm a big fan of using that pre-market imbalance data, which I just gave you here. And I'm looking, there's a mix in AT&T and Verizon. AT&T is actually 41,000 to buy. Verizon's 55,000 to sell, but I've sold Verizon the last two opens. Basically, Wednesday open, I sold the open. Thursday open, I sold the open, and they both worked well. I'm looking at possibly trying to sell the open on this puppy again. When you get the market up 10 points, it might press the stock higher. And what happens is you just have algorithms that just flat out say, oh, this is fair value, it's open and below fair value, and it's going to be cheap. You can't do it that way, though, because this is getting priced hard. They look like they want to take the stock down. It's down 12 cents. The market's up 10 points. So for whatever reason, this opens flat. It's already telling me that it's going to be relatively weak. So I've already got, just looking at the pre-market action, looking at different imbalance data, I've already got Verizon as an idea to sell the open. If it opens up, say 47.40, 47.45. Now I'm a short-term trader. I'm going for 15, 20 cents tops on these things. So this isn't like a long-term swing trade or anything, but
Hey,
that's what I'm
Joe.
looking from on that one.
Okay, Dennis. I'm gonna. Serge.
Yo.
Okay, we got you live on the air here right away, Dennis. Sorry, I just he was calling in, and I just wanted to bring him on. So, Dennis, are you gonna step off and do some trading, or you want to sit in for the interview for a little bit? I guess we lost Dennis. Okay, we got we got Serge Berger on here, the steady trader. He's going to discuss his outlook for this week and also some new products. But Serge, Joe, I didn't know this, but Joe told me that you're in Switzerland.
I'm not always in Switzerland. I kind of spend my time between the U.S. and Switzerland. I have a lot of clients in Switzerland, so it's a little bit of a back and forth.
Okay, so how do you work your day there if you're in Switzerland?
Well, it actually works out quite well, to be honest with you. Basically, I do all my research in the morning, and then once the U.S. market opens at 3:30, I pretty much just mostly focus on the morning session. The afternoon session for me is more just research based anyway, so it actually works out all right.
Okay. All right. So you got a new product coming out on Markify this week. You wanna talk about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what we're just gonna do is, as the world sort of evolves, most companies these days can to some extent be called technology companies, right? And a lot of these companies have over time actually become much more interesting from a technology point of view. So what we're gonna launch is a new product which will be a free daily watch list on the companies that you won't necessarily look at as tech companies, but really are very much technology companies in and of themselves. For example, Tesla, right? Is so we'll also focus on things like Facebook and things like that, but really, tech stocks that aren't your traditional stuff like Cisco and Juniper, really sort of the new breed of also some of the internet stocks. And so we're looking forward to it.
Okay, and it's just you're gonna do daily analysis of it, and as far as how to trade it, or is it just something that's shorter term or longer term for people?
Right. No, it's a good question. Basically, what we're going to do is focus on a more sort of a swing trading type of setup. I will be doing two stocks a day, two charts a day with what I think is interesting, long, short levels, my analysis, and yeah, just really just kind of give people more of a swing trading type of feel. A couple days to a few weeks in terms of position. Nothing too hectic, nothing too boring, where people can really get a hold on how to trade some of these higher beta and very interesting type of new type of technology stocks.
Now, is it going to be through the actual equity, or are you going to try and utilize the options market?
I think we're going to do a little bit of both. I think that the basic underlying trade setup will always come from the equity, and if there's an interesting options trade to place around it, for sure, I will definitely mention that as well.
Okay, and I mean, trend following is your bread and butter here. The trend. Are you looking for like longer term trends or 2 or 3 day trends? Really, what's your average time horizon on your trend trades, or do you get into a trend and then if it's going your way, you just kind of like trill your stop and let the market take you out, or do you come in with specific stops and specific targets?
I always come in with a specific stop. It's just sort of a disaster insurance, right? Just so I know what my risk is, and I think that's really most important. People a lot of times try to focus a little bit too much on the upside, whereas really, if you focus on the downside, a lot of this business, as you are obviously know, it really takes care of itself. So my stops are always hard. I will then certainly work with a soft target. So I'll usually have a first profit target around 5% on the equity, and then we'll trail it if it makes sense.
So you use a hard stop. You actually put the stop in the market. It's on the books then, right?
That's correct. I mean, that's a worst case stop. It doesn't mean I can't stop myself out before. In fact, I would say probably 70% of the time I will stop myself out before if it's not working.
Okay. All right. Well, we've had a good job number here. S&Ps are trading up here 875 here, 1887.50. I mean, it's hard to, hard to do the levels and it's hard to put projections on this here, but I mean, as far as, the trend, I mean, the trend is still up. Is there anything, that you're looking at today that our traders may be interested in?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Look, the trend is there, and it's look, the air's getting thinner on a daily basis. That doesn't mean we can't keep going doing this for another 3 to 6 months. And I mean, if you go back to the bull market, even just as recent as the internet bubble, I mean, people started crying wolf like 2 years before it ever got close to ending. So I think, I'm not, I don't want to compare that to, that today to that time, but in terms of the bull market mentality, it's really the same kind of thing. I'm looking at a lot of the fertilizer stocks today. So Mosaic, which is MOS ticker symbol, and Potash, POT,
Okay.
and even on Monsanto looks pretty good alongside.
Okay. Now these fertilizer stocks and have. I mean, I always ask Brent for the person with the cartel here. Knocked it down. In 30. I believe that was back in July. Now it's had a nice
Mhm.
breakout above the $34 level. Trade 30. Are you looking at this from fundamentals, or are you looking at this from technicals?
This is it's technical, but it's also like my technical analysis goes through the lens of psychology. In other words, I use a lot of candlesticks for my analysis, and candlesticks and some of the other very straightforward type of analysis really give us more than anything a good idea about investor psychology. And then we either go with it with that prevailing psychology, or we go completely against it. And I think at some point, like you said, in late July. Some of these stocks just got bombed out, and people were still very negative. But at the end of the day, if you look at potash, series of higher lows, very bullish reversal candles every time they got near the trend line. And basically, 2 days ago, we had a breakout past the 200-day moving average. Potash hasn't been above the 200-day since, geez,
Long
July,
time.
June, last June. So, I think it's a pretty good case, particularly because the entire industry actually looks good. So it's not just potash and mosaic. There's plenty of other that look fine as well.
Yeah, that $34 level was holding up for quite some time here,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
the highest of the moves was 34.10, and then yesterday you busted through there. So do you get into a trend, and will you add to your position then if it's going your way, or you just kind of put on your lot and then try and take it off in different tranches. Because I know when trading sometimes people are tempted to add the losers, but really you should add the winners. Do you like to add to your winning positions, or do you just kind of get into them and take your lots off?
Yeah, I mean, like you, I don't add to losers. I think that makes very little to absolutely no sense. It depends on the stock. If you have something that's trending, I'm more of someone who will go in fully, reduce a little bit. So after 5%, I'll take some off. If it then consolidates and wants to give it another push, I'll add again. That kind of thing. It's a little bit more, a little more defensive, a little more conservative in that sense. But it really is all about risk management.
Right. Okay. So you're following the technology stocks, and you're going to be doing that on your new product here. The Tesla, is it taking another breather here to move higher? It had a good run up after earnings. Kind of quiet here, holding the 250 level. Kind of looks like just a little consolidation you had around here around the $200 level.
Yeah, it does. It's the thing with Tesla. I like I said the other day, I gave a presentation for a bank last night on some of these stocks, and basically, I think Tesla basically right now is essentially what Apple was in the 2011, partially 2012 period. It's essentially the same thing. So it's hard to stop it. At some point, it will stop. I don't know. That can happen today or in 6 or 12 months, but it's a little bit stupid to fight it. I think.
Right, right. So you'd use a stop, on the downside, as opposed to trying to pick a top on the upside.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you can do and what we have done is like sell way out of the money calls, or call
Okay.
spreads. That is an interesting idea. Of course, the stock can move 10, 20% on a given day, but you can sell like 40% out of the money with like 3 months in the future. That still is an attractive risk reward. So there's a lot of stuff you can actually do with the stocks without in the name without having used a stock or a combination thereof. It's interesting.
Are you finding some premiums out there? I mean, with we kind of had some of the lower volatility. I mean, are you going out
Yeah.
far enough and in enough time value to find premiums to sell the options?
Yeah, I mean, particularly after earnings, I went out and actually sold. I sold calls in a couple tranches, like 40 and 50% out of the money, literally like half an hour on the day. And those some I took like half the position off right away, which made good money because the IV collapsed at the end of the day and the stock moved down. And then of course the stock decided to pop because of the battery news. So it's but you can massage those trades. That's why one of the topics last night was it's hard to short a stock like this. In fact, it's probably for lack of a better term, stupid. But if you use the option, you go like 3, 4 months out, you can sell call spreads that you can turn into all sorts of iron condors, and you can massage the trade. You're not going to get lynched, in other words, if you use kind of that kind of strategy.
Okay, Facebook has had a nice run here. Didn't really participate in the rally yesterday. Participating a little bit today. Has made some tops up here at the $72 level, 71.89, 71.97. Once again, not trading up relative to the market. I think this thing has had a major run, over the last couple weeks here. Is this one
Hmm.
looking a little tired to you?
To me, quite frankly, this has looked tired for a couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, it hasn't done that much in 2 weeks either. It's basically right now trying to break that, what was it, 71.40, 71.50, whatever level, or what is it exactly? I don't know.
Well, what it did have a high at 71.44, and it got through there in the last two trading sessions, but not by much. It got up to 71.89 and 71.97. I'm just wondering if perhaps someone's trying to sneak out at the $72 level and hitting every bit above 71.80.
Yeah, I mean it's entirely possible. I think it's Facebook is it's quite similar to Tesla in that sense. It's you don't want to fight it, but I just find it a little bit difficult to really go after it too much, and especially if you have a time frame of more than a few days. I think you got to keep your options pretty tight here. You don't want to lean out a window. Maybe reduce your position size at this point. I mean, the highest probability trade came after earnings at the end of January because there it broke past lateral resistance and then was good for a runner. Now, the momentum's slowly kind of just slowing down. So
Okay. Do you follow? I've seen in your profile you follow. I've traded the commodity markets. Do you follow and or trade the gold and crude market?
I trade gold a little bit, mostly to the miners. Just it's just a little bit less hassle because I for my I manage quite a bit of money for clients, and so it's just from an admin point a little bit easier to go by the stocks as opposed to the commodities themselves. But yeah, no, I look at gold and the miners and things like that for sure.
Yeah, because there's been quite a divergence between, usually gold and the market go in opposite directions here. You've had
Mm.
the both rallying together. I know you've had some overseas unrest. It's probably been contributed to it. But gold's running some major resistance here in the 1350 handle here. Coming back down, actually, we took hit the major resistance, and now we've come to major support as well. Last four lows right in this 1331 area. You think they're ready to, go separate directions here, or you just think that the fear trade is going to hold gold up here in the short term?
I think the dynamics in the tape have changed. I think if we're looking out 3 to 4 months, I do think this marginally decelerating rate of growth we're seeing in the U.S. economy is going to eventually catch up with the equity markets. Again, I don't know if that's 3 or 6 months down the road, but I do think that's part of the reason why you have gold increasing as inflation is also at the margin increasing. So it's sort of a combination of that. And quite frankly, that's a very non-consensus call. I think hardly anyone's talking about that. But if you look at the math close enough behind some of the economic indicators, that is essentially what's happening. So I don't think gold is going to fall apart here anytime soon. But I also certainly don't see it go back to 2011 highs. I think it's sort of a nice trade to the long side for me personally, better in the minors. But I wouldn't short it here either.
Okay. And then just going back to some of these new technology stocks or that you're going to be following, Twitter here has just been stuck in this range here. After the earnings, they took it down to $50, 49.99, and you got a nice pop of up at believe it's close to $59, and now it just market's been rallying here. The disappointing earnings report. Boy, how long can this consolidation last here in Twitter?
It's been frustrating for people I know, and I have there's a lot of guys that call me every single day. Hey, what's going on with Twitter? At the end of the day, I think you have to take a little bit of a step back and understand that it's a little bit to me. It's a little bit like Facebook when it first came out. It's Twitter essentially still very much in the honeymoon phase, but that honeymoon phase essentially is slowly coming to an end here, and I think we're still trying to figure out what the model is, quite frankly. I think the model's there, but there's so much discussion about it. There's really no consensus. So the stock, quite frankly, at some point it's going to make up its mind. But unless it goes back and starts filling that gap above, say, $59 in a long side, or it starts cratering below 50, I don't think there's much you have to do here.
Right, and you're kind of just I don't know if you want to call it a wedge or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
really well-defined support as well as well-defined resistance. So
Hmm.
we have a question here. How do you choose what new tech stocks to follow, and uh, does it have to do with positive potential price action or other criteria?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think if we're in the business of active investing, for the lack of a better term, trading, right? In my case, it's trading is time frames of 2 days, mostly to a multiple weeks. I do some intraday ticking around, but mostly it's confined more in the swing trading front. So to me, it's important that a stock actually moves, but it doesn't move too much. So I'm not very interested in like penny stocks or stocks trading less than 5 or even $10. I'm more interested in stocks that have some sort of an orderly pattern to them, right? So Facebook, Twitter, Twitter is still trying to kind of prove itself. Groupon, Tesla, just almost any of the big names that they move well on a technical basis. iRobot, IRBT is ticker symbol Zynga, um, Salesforce.com, CRM, Yahoo, all those stocks, they act very well, but they have a technical rhythm to them. They're not choppy and crazy and nutty. But they're all in tech space. And then there's many, many more names. I'm going to be focusing roughly, I think it's 70 to 100 names that I've
Wow.
got on that list that are of stocks that that throw off unbelievably high probability trades all the time, and they're all essentially technology companies, even if they're not labeled as such, like iRobot, right? They can make the little robots for home, for the little
Yep.
vacuum cleaners. Tremendous stock, but it's not a tech stock. It's a consumer cyclical stock. I don't know how that's not a tech stock. you know.
Right, I have to agree with you. And just to close things out here, Berkshire Hathaway made a big move yesterday, and finally broke out. And Warren is, the value investor, and his top holdings. We rattled off Wells Fargo, Bank America, American Express here. Do you think that there might be a little bit of a shift, out of the hot rods here into the more value stocks?
Look, I mean, if you look at some of the things that they've been buying, and by the way, that's been a great call. If you hop on even if you hopped on some of the stocks that some of the activist investors are behind it, with some screening, you would have done very well. Since Warren bought or disclosed a big position in ExxonMobil, it's been choppy,
Yeah.
but there were a good amount of trades. So I'm not sure if we're going so much into value. I think it's a little bit dependent on the sector, quite frankly.
Okay, and Violin Maker, just one last question here. This new service for the stocks, you'll provide with, technical information, fundamental information, recommended trades. Is that basically what you'll be providing?
Yeah, I will certainly look at the fundamentals to the extent that it makes sense. I've been a professional trader for 15 years, and I can tell you fundamentals matter when they matter, and they absolutely don't matter when they don't matter. You know what I mean? And I know you know what I'm talking about because I get calls from analysts from the sell side every single day, old friends and people I used to work with, and they have their opinions, but they're usually wrong for 40% in the wrong direction until they finally give up, and then the stock makes a move. So sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. I'll focus on technicals, some fundamentals, news-based stuff, momentum, all those beautiful names that and I think you find it good fun.
Okay, Serge. All right, the market's still holding up here, up 750. S&P's hit a high 1887.50. I mean, is it a day to perhaps try and take some profits into the sell, or you just any short-term indicators or tricks, the S&Ps, or any other things that give our traders something to follow here?
Yeah, I think you got to be a little bit technical at this point. I mean, we're going to be bumping into the 1900 area here at some point soon in the S&P. I mean, the futures are now still up 7 handles. I think it's time to get a little bit more technical. So if you look, so the past couple of days we had tremendous moves in the brokers. Schwab, Goldman. Personally, we took some profits in those. Even in Wells Fargo, trimmed that position. Happy to entertain it again, but I tend not to be a big trader at all on jobs day. Actually, I think much better trades actually come up on Monday or Tuesday. So once the dust is settled, Friday afternoon, not a good time to trade. You have a lot of people basically filtering out. Europe's closed. There's nothing to look forward to the next day. I mean, not market-wise at least, right?
Right.
So personally, I'd probably take it a little bit easier today. I'm like I said, I'm looking to actually. I have a position in potash. I'm looking to half that position to take some profits, and I'm going to add Mosaic on alongside. So I have a bit of a more mixed position in the fertilizer stocks. But that's, I think, just about all I'm looking at today. Maybe First Solar. The solar stocks are looking good again as well. First Solar on the long side, looking better than.
How
Yeah.
about that? They really hit that off the earnings, and it just bounced right
Mhm.
back. Took it down to the $50 level, coming up against resistance here. It's kind of been ignored as opposed to the SC, the Solar City here. So you think it might be some
Yeah.
time for First Solar to do some catching up?
I think so, and also another one on that popped in my radar the other day is TSL. It's Trina Solar,
Okay.
Theodore Samuel Ludwig. Just beautiful action
Dude,
right
what
there.
was that? Is Theodore? What was that again?
Yeah, I just made that up. I'm not a pilot.
Because Brent, you have to run that by Brent because he's the one with the Yankee Bravo, Indian. So you
He
can't.
goes all official on you,
Yeah, I
doesn't
think
he?
you just threw out some Swedish names or something there.
I might as well. Yeah, whatever. It's
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Serge. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good
Talking
stuff.
about your new product here and your trades. I like the way that you mix the fundamentals and also how you emphasize the risk reward ratios and stuff. So thanks for adjusting to the American time here, and we'd certainly like to have you on again.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Okay. All right. That was a great connection there, huh? From all the way from Fisherland?
Yeah,
That was-
sounded just fine. Sounded like he was sitting right next to us, Joel.
Yeah. So do you think we should give Chubbs a chance here at the morning headlines?
Chubbs is
Chubbs,
excited, I can tell.
Are you
making
ready?
his pre-market prep debut.
No, this is actually my return.
Oh, the return. There he is.
There's
Sorry, Chubbs, my bad.
It's been a couple months, but it's good to be back, guys.
Yeah,
Okay, so
glad to have you.
give us some good headlines and some trivia that doesn't involve music.
All right, then. BlackBerry's CEO John Chen has held talks with the White House to ensure President Obama and other staff members continue to use their BlackBerry devices. It's just customer outreach, and they were nice enough to share some of their thoughts with me, Chen told Bloomberg TV. He has met or talked to more than 100 clients since taking over as CEO in November, declined to elaborate on what he discussed with the White House beyond saying it was about some of the stuff they like and some of the stuff they would like us to work on. Safeway, the second largest U.S. mainstream grocery store operator, said private equity firm Cerberus Capital Management would acquire the company in a deal valued at about $9.4 billion. The deal combines Safeway with Cerberus's Albertsons chain, creating a dominant grocery franchise on the West Coast. It also creates a grocery network of more than 2,400 stores and 250,000 employees. No store closures are expected, according to the company. Safeway shareholders will receive $32.50 per share in cash, plus other distributions with a value of $3.65 per share. Privacy groups Electronic Privacy and Communications, or EPIC, and the Center for Digital Democracy are concerned about the implications of Facebook buying WhatsApp and what it means for citizens. Together, the groups have asked the U.S. Federal Trade Commission to look at the $19 billion acquisition and their concerns that together the firms represent a privacy threat. Epic pointed out that Facebook is under a 20-year good behavior order from the FTC. It suggested that the FTC might consider user reactions to the deal and what Facebook might do with the additional revenue. A small producer of solar panels on Friday became the first company in recent history to default in China's domestic bond market, a development welcomed by analysts as a sign that the nation's huge but protected corporate debt market may be growing. The Shanghai Shiori Solar Energy Science and Technology Company, which makes solar cells and panels, failed to meet a Friday deadline to make an annual interest payment on a bond of 1 billion renminbi, or $163 million, that it sold to domestic partners in 2012, a company official said Friday. Google has expanded its cloud reseller program as the web giant tries to enlist the channel to help it diversify its business away from search. The updates to the Google Cloud Platform Partner Program were announced by the company on Thursday and sees it split its partners into 3 tiers: registered company, authorized partner, and premier partner. The kicker is that the premier partners can get access to the rarest resource at Google, actual people who will help with the partner with sales, marketing, and technical support. General Motors wants to build a new $162 million stamping plant at its Lansing Grand River assembly plant that Lansing economic development officials say could add dozens of new jobs. The new 2,500 square foot facility would be a new building at the Lansing Grand River complex and would add up to 65 new jobs, said Bob Trezise, president and CEO of the Lansing Economic Area Partnership. GM on Thursday would not confirm the new plant, but said it is considering making an investment at Lansing Grand River. The Heidelberg project's dollhouse was set on fire early Friday morning, marking at least the 5th house ablaze in less than a year. The world-renowned project stretches over several blocks in Detroit, utilizing vacant houses, signs, dolls, records, and other urban discards as a response to inner-city urban decay. While many city officials and residents are split over whether the project is art or just rat-attracting junk, the display draws in visitors from around the U.S. and the world. Security at the project has been increased since the last fire in December. Project officials also announced that a private donor is offering a $25,000 reward for the information, leading to the arrest and conviction of anyone responsible for the fires. That's on top of $5,000 offered by the Michigan Arson Prevention Committee. And for today's trivia, on this date 15 years ago, filmmaker Stanley Kubrick died in Hertfordshire, England at the age of 70. One of the most acclaimed film directors of the 20th century, Kubrick's 13 feature films such as Paths of Glory, Dr. Strangelove, The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut explore the dark side of human nature. Today's question: despite all of his acclaim, Kubrick won just one Academy Award. What was it?
Um,
So you probably wouldn't have said it in the list of the couple that you read there. That would be like too
I
easy.
don't know
May not
about
have
that.
said it.
I don't
Ooh.
know. He may have said it. I mean, to me, the best of those movies, and I don't think it got movie of the year, was the Shining. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh yeah,
Scatman Crothers. That was a great movie.
I think I probably peed my pants watching that one. Jake says Clockwork Orange was his favorite. That's it.
Oh, there
That's
we go.
it.
Brianna.
She got
Brianna
it.
with the win.
Do you know what it
Two-
was? Do you know exactly what it was for?
2001: A Space Odyssey. There's not a single word in the first 45 minutes of the movie, as I recall.
Well, that's exactly. He won the '68 Oscar for Best Visual Effects.
Best
Which-
visual effects in what year was that?
1968,
Wow.
And that what in the movie was?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay, all right. Well, there's a trivia. And it did not. Yeah, red rum. Yeah, Dennis is going
Oh
back
man.
to the.
Let's not. Come on. We don't have to talk about the scariness
Yeah, look
this
at
early
Brad.
in the
Look,
morning.
Brad's getting a little scared. He's about to dial his mama here. Okay, all right. We're moving in 3 minutes before the open here. S&P's losing a little bit of altitude.
Definitely.
Yeah, Dennis was talking about that. He said the financials were holding up. But some of the other stocks were coming down here. 1883. I mean, I have to use 1881 as support, Brent, because that was the former all-time high, right? And
Right.
all-time resistance.
Resistance turns into support.
Yeah, but I'd call that. I'd call that light support here. But do we got anything else off the wires? Any?
I was just
upgrade?
gonna ask real quick. Is that 18? The high for this morning that I see 1887.5. Is that level anything?
There are no levels up here, Brent.
Ah.
1887.50. I mean, that we are in totally uncharted waters here. I mean, if you want to use, Sigma Delta. Well, no, that was my sister's sorority, Sigma Delta Tau. But Fari's talking 1930, 1940. But his Sigma's very, with the volatility in the market here. So. The market's providing you with 1887.50. I'd like to see it just go right back up to that level, press through there, and keep going. Below 1881, I mean, you have the pre-market low at 1875.50, which coincides with the close here. I do want to alert our traders here that gold is just starting to break down here. After the number, it came off hard. Now we have taken out the 1330 area, 1331, which was the major support. We've gotten a bounce here, but the tide is turned here in gold, so needs to can't hold this 1330 over the next bracket here. You could be seeing more downside in the bullion. Boy, I tell you, one stock, and Dennis was talking about the report in this, Big Lots. And let's just take a look at this thing. Opening up here, $5.50 here. You had a pre-market high at 35.30. Opened up 34.58, tech 34.79. I think this thing needs to get back over $35 here pretty quickly, or you're gonna try and give back some of the gains from the earnings report here.
Hey Joel, you know what? The WSJ's Hilsenrath just recently making some comments. If anyone follows Hilsenrath out there, he definitely has a tendency to move markets. And the WSJ's Hilsenrath saying that the Fed is likely to taper at the next meeting. So this is one of the top market watchers out there making a call that more taper is definitely
so
coming.
they're gonna increase the taper then.
They are going to increase the amount of tapering. You're getting tricky with it now, I see.
So they're gonna bump it up. I mean, well,
Accelerate the pace of taper, I guess would be a good way to say it.
right, because of the economy. Well,
And it's just what you said earlier. You said, okay, we have a bad number. Okay, we get more taper. We have a good number. We lay off the taper kind of thing. So seems to be playing out here.
Okay, big lots. It was dropped a big point so far here off the open. So if you did take a short off the open there, this you do have a little bit of profits here. But how about we going into the open here? Is it time for Jake's take?
I believe it is.
Hey Jake, how you doing this morning?
Not too bad, not too bad. MSU finally managed to pick up a win last night against Iowa, so I guess all is not lost, not yet at least. But we'll see if they can turn around the season. But yeah, so do have a couple things moving out there. Want to take a look at FireEye real quick.
Yeah.
Company's secondary offering really, really taking a hit to the shares. Can get you guys some more details there, but they were down as almost they're below $83 earlier. We've kind of gotten back above that, but it's really causing them to take a pretty drastic hit here. Foxtrot Echo, Yankee Echo for anyone that's on their own charts there. Get you exactly what that offering price at $82 a share. So we're still a little bit above what it priced
Jake,
at.
guess where they took it just below in the pre-market?
$83.
82. They took it down to 81.
Really?
It took
Wow.
it down to 81.75. So they took it, and Dennis talks a lot about the that secondary price being a magnet here. As it acted in today's session, just before the open, the 9 o'clock hour, it traded down to 81.75. We're getting a nice bounce up here at 83.76, but could migrate back towards that $82 level.
Speaking of secondaries, though, did you see? I'm sure you guys looked into Plug this morning.
Yeah, what's going
but
on with that?
they had that secondary offering, and traders just seem to be ignoring the fact that it was priced well below where it was. I guess the company is going to be appearing on CNBC this morning. I'm not sure if they already have or if that's coming soon. But there was a lot of anticipation over this, and now we've got a 5.8% rally. It looks like over $6 or almost $7 a share now. So. They did trade down quite a bit yesterday, and then just rallied right back despite that secondary. So the Plug Power Management's got to be real pleased after they pulled off that offering, raised a huge amount of capital compared to where the stock was priced even just a couple months ago, and now they continue to rally. So it looks like they're going to be able to hang on to this, and with that additional capital, you'd expect them to be able to grow. But what do you think of the chart here? Is it telling you anything?
Well, it did. The secondary price was what, 574, 575.
Yeah.
Now this one yesterday, they took it down to $6, 602, and then they got a nice bounce here. I'm still keeping an eye on this $7 level. It traded over twice earlier in the week, 701, 709. We just hit 688 here, so we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, I think people are looking to get out to 7, maybe trading a 6-7 range for a while. S&Ps are falling out of bed. Jake here, what did you do? I mean, was it? You think it was those comments?
It was Hilsenrath, I bet.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, he moves markets.
He really does.
No, you move the markets, Brent, because you report what Hills and Reds said,
Oh,
and then
thanks.
our traders got on that. Kind of sliced through that 1881 minor support level here. Now things are turning ugly here in the index, 1875.50 pre-market low. But sorry for the interruption there, Jake. What else we got
It's
going
all
on?
good. Definitely important to keep an eye on the S&Ps, especially on a Jobs Friday like this. You got a lot of action right now. Fuel Cell Energy, another one of the fuel cell companies, is on the rise. This time to the upside. Company did get awarded a $2.8 million contract from the Department of Energy, which I'm not sure if that's really newsworthy or not, but I think traders are kind of using that as an excuse to bid it up. It's above $3 again. Earlier this morning, it was below that $3 level. I feel like when you have whole number, levels like that in, a low price stock, I mean, you're trading just above $3. When you break the $3 level, it's got to be some kind of significance there. But trading up almost 8% now.
Yeah, well, the higher the move is, did get through that $3 level. Just keep in mind, a couple days ago that we hit 340. 320 was your high from yesterday's session. 324 today here. So moving up towards 340, that's your major resistance point. That was also the exact high to the tick in March of 2010. So 340. Big number here. And then also, I don't know if we got to talk about this on the show or not, but Sirius Satellite got an upgrade there, but I just looked at all those highs: 361, 362, 363, and
Making you a little nervous?
well, it's just such good. I mean, if you're trying to play a breakout in a $3.50 stock, that 363 level is still holding up. Surge is just popping in, pop and drop there. Stay out of this one, folks. There are better trades, better days to trade.
Wise words.
Yeah, yeah. So I like his approach though. But okay.
Another one. Did you guys check out GT Advanced Technologies this morning?
GATT.
GTAT.
I don't think we did, Jake.
Company caught an upgrade from Credit Suisse this morning, up to an outperform from a neutral, and they bumped it to a $24 price target. And it really went on a run in the pre-market. It's selling off a little bit now. It was over 18 bucks. We're now below the $18 level, but we're up. Say the stock's still up over 5.5%. It's quite a rally for GT Advanced Technologies. Basically, they were looking at the company has a pending deal with Apple, and they say things are looking good there. And another one of its new technologies they were getting bullish on. And I mean, the stock's really had an incredible year so far. You know, coming from I think it was like what $2 or something like that, up to over 18. So GT Advanced Technology really rallying on this Credit Suisse report.
Yeah, it's kind of a thin one here. We opened up 17.93, snuck over the $18 level. 18.01's the high. It's interesting. You did have higher highs in the pre-market. 18.20, 18.30 was the high here, but struggling at the $18 level here in the regular session. So perhaps a day to wow. Look at the volume on this thing is pretty good. So keep an eye on 18. If it can get back above 18, pre-market high was 18.30.
Well, here comes another obscure stock for you. CVM, Charlie Victor Mike, up over 10% right now. One of these FDA plays. It's a little baby company, under $100 million in market cap, but it is rallying this morning. Usually pretty thin volume. I'm looking for some news on it. It had some positive news as far as one of its trials earlier this week. But I do not see anything this morning quite yet. Wins the thing on back on February 4th. Wins approval for listing and trading warrants on the New York Stock Exchange. Trying to see what might be going on this morning. Recently declared its phase 3 head and neck cancer clinical trial is approved, so it's kind of moving forward with that, or clinical trial expansion at the 21st Century Oncology in Greenville, North Carolina. So I guess their trials are going well so far, and you know it's a little bit more than a penny stock now, but it is rallying over 11% up right now. So it's got some movement here. Joel, does this have enough volume for you to look at? Or?
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you didn't get a gap situation. 130 was Thursday's high. Opened up at 130. That was the low. We've challenged the 142 level, so would not like to see this pull back under, a $136 would be mid-range on it. Really nothing in the charts to tell you that's going to stop here at this $142 level. You traded a $180 back in October of 2013 before you slid under a buck here. So perhaps a longer-term target could be that $180.
Another one that's moving to the downside this morning is Pixelworks. Papa X-Ray Lima Whiskey. That was really moving to the upside yesterday. I can't remember exactly what the news was. Some
Apple.
deal with Apple.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like they're letting out some of the air today, down about 8%. Maybe going to test that $8 level. Just kind of interesting on this one. After that huge rally yesterday, it's really pulling back right now. Joel, do you think there's any support in this one? Do you think this is one you stay away from? Should the longs take their profits? What are you thinking?
On this one yesterday, I was, it had the big move in the pre-market, and I was a little faked out by it, and it just kept on going. And now you got all the way up, you got all the way over, just over $9 yesterday, 9.05. Nice whole number like that. Traders targeted that $9 level again this morning. Only let it get to $8.96 here. 8.12 low. I mean, there's just nothing but air below this 8.12 here. The momentum. I would use some kind of a mental stop here. If you've been fortunate enough. I mean, this thing was trading under $5 3 days ago. haven't quite doubled your money yet, but as you can see by the chart here, if it takes out this current low 812, it's just the only buyers are going to be people that got stuck short in this thing yesterday or took a shot short in it today.
Did you guys take a look at H&R Block at all this morning? HRB?
Her.
Yeah. The company just they released just an absolutely abysmal report yesterday. It was a loss of 77 cents a share versus expected loss of 11 cents, while revenues came in 199.8 million versus expected 519.87 million. So it seems like one of those things where there must be some huge adjustment going on in there. But they're only trading down about 1% right now, heading towards that $30 level. I don't know if you see anything on this chart. I'm very interested to see what happened on that report, because those numbers, which I never saw anything adjusted come through, just seemed so off. It was just unbelievable.
We went open to 30.33, went down to 30, made a low at 30.06, and that was one tick below the February 12th low of 30.07. And now you got to rally back here, and you're rallying back right into the close and the low from yesterday, 30.84 and 30.86 here. So already come back and filled the gap here. Needs to climb back into 31 handle here to continue this move. Still trading down 15 cents. If in fact you get back above 31 here, you have the high from yesterday at 31.42.
Another one reporting after the close was the retailer Quicksilver, which is Zulu Quebec Kilo, ZQK is the ticker there. First quarter results came in at a loss of 10 cents a share versus the expected loss of 6 cents a share, so wider than expected loss. While revenues, they really missed by a mile, 392.6 million versus expected 511.34 million. So one of these, another retailer, this is another one that kind of, applies to a teenage segment, not doing so great, down about 4%, really gapped down right at the open too. Not guess, there's a little bit of a gap, but then it just at the open just fell out of bed here. Really, this is still down about 4%, maybe heading towards $7. Who knows? Is there anything going on this chart?
You got a chance. I mean, if you were using the bad news to short it, 757 open, and then it went right up to fill the gap. Yesterday's low 767 went to 769, which was also the close. So kind of a classic open lower than fill the gap. We've come down to 726. Now that 726 level coincides with three other lows that you had in the middle of February between 721 and 724 here. So you have hit a support point if it does come back down. Again, through that area, you have a low on February 13th at 705.
Well, another one, just kind of zooming out to the market as a whole. I don't know if you heard the news, but a U.S. missile destroyer is heading into the Black Sea now, I guess, for quote-unquote planned drills, which I'm sure that those drills couldn't be called off to try and keep a warship out of those seas, make sure that we're not causing any problems, but we're really worried about that apparently. But I'm just shocked that so they've got these planned drills going on, and they don't decide maybe we can push them back a week or two so that we're not sending warships into this incredibly volatile zone. But yes, we've decided that's a good idea. We have, and it's part of an aircraft carrier task force that's sitting in the Mediterranean right now. So it looks like tensions are kind of heading upwards. The news of this really broke last night, but I guess it just crossed the Bosporus today. So that's interesting. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Obviously, this Ukrainian situation keeps coming back, creeping back into things. With this morning dominated by the jobs numbers, and I think the whole trading session it'll be interesting to see if we get any kind of press conference or any kind of comments or developments throughout the day, because that could cause kind of an interesting reversal. Joel, when you're looking at the S&Ps, let's say we do get some kind of a reversal, maybe something coming out of Ukraine that scares the markets once again, if anything can scare them with this kind of a report that we just got this morning. What would you be looking at? Is there anything on the downside where there's like all right, here's where the heavy support is, or what are you thinking?
I think just a lot of times on the weekends, people get a little bit nervous. Things that can happen overseas. I think as long as we stay above this the current low that we have, 1875.50. I think as long as that's protected, we can just start to trade back up into the 1880 handle. If in fact we take out that 1875.50. I mean, you got two other minor support points, 1871 and 1867 and a quarter. But if you get a lot of fear going, I mean, we could, trade back down to 1850. But still, right now, we're still holding above that pre-market low, 1875.50, and you got people leaning to the long side. Well, we've run a minute over here on our Friday broadcast. Brent, you have anything you'd like to close the show out with?
I think a nice happy birthday to the one, the only Jason Raznick is in order. Oh,
Jason Razzle Dazzle Raznick.
What do you got to say, Raz? He's acting like he's not listening, but it is Raz's birthday, so happy birthday to Raz, our fearless leader here at Benzinga.
Okay, everyone, have a good weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday.